This episode of the Neurodivergent Experience is brought to you by RTN Mental Health Solutions. With up to a 5-year waiting list for autism and ADHD assessments via the NHS, and that's even if you get a referral from your GP, getting an assessment in the UK has never been harder. So if you're like me and can't wait anymore, going private may be the best option for you. RTN offers online assessments for kids aged 6 right up to adults, with prices starting at £900. To make it more accessible, RTN can offer payment plans up to 5 months. You can access their remote services from the comfort of your home anywhere in the UK, and RTN offers group and one-to-one counselling, a private route to access ADHD medication following the assessment, and will even fight for you if your GP doesn't accept the results. So if you live in the UK and can't wait to get an assessment, go to www.rtnmentalhealthsolutions.com and use the discount code RTN23, making it even more affordable for all of our listeners to get an autism and ADHD assessment.
Hello and welcome to the Neurodivergent Experience. I'm your host, Jordan James, a neurodivergent specialist and photographer, and I'm joined by my co-host, very best friend and fellow advocate, Simon Scott.
Hello, welcome to the Neurodivergent Experience. This week we are talking about extreme demand avoidance in adults.
I'm just going to come out and say it. I really like Imagine Dragons.
Oh, right, okay.
Just
throwing that out there. Right, okay.
Yeah, I got into them. Yeah,
of all of the things I was expecting you to say, that wasn't on my list.
It wasn't on anyone's. I'm really into them.
That's nice.
And I'm rewatching Arcane because the new season is coming out.
Yeah, he's on League of Legends.
On Netflix, League of Legends. It's just one of the greatest cartoons I've ever seen in my life. And obviously they do the theme song to it. And then I've just started listening to them on Spotify. And I've just been playing basketball while listening to Imagine Dragons and just loving them beats.
I saw them live about 10 years ago.
Well, I am late to the party, as
you
usual.
You are very, very late.
I am always. I looked at it and they've got like 1 billion followers, and I was like, oh.
Yes. And if you like Arcane, my friend, there's actually, their soundtrack's got a lot of very cool bands in it, like Paris and Ash Nico and people that I listen to. So welcome to the 21st century, my friend. Yes. Enjoy.
The last time I was into a band, to be fair, there's a few bands that I'm into, and it's been a while. It's been a while since there was a new one. I did start listening to The Offspring.
Yeah.
And obviously I was into them in the 90s, and now 2024 they've got a new album and I love it.
Rent's
I love it.
Love that.
I love The Offspring.
I always love when like these old bands just turn up and you're like, whose mortgage needs paying? Come on. Come on, guys.
I've noticed I was out of sync with them for like three albums, and I was like, I've got some music to catch up on.
Yeah, that often happens with me.
Yeah. So I'm loving music. I'm loving going back to the gym and just like trying not to break myself.
Yeah, you sound like you're in a much happier place, my friend. We've been up and down this past few weeks, haven't we?
Yeah, roller coaster.
Roller coaster.
We're gonna do, because I think a lot of the roller coaster problems I personally have is I don't want to do that thing. And then I'm like, but why don't I want to do that thing? Like I want to do that thing, so why don't I want to do that thing? And it's like, it's just this back and forth, like, idea tennis, that it's just like, oh, I want that. No, I don't want that. Oh, I want that. No, I don't want that. What was known as pathological demand avoidance, which has been rebranded to extreme demand avoidance, which personally I think is actually a lot. It's
like, have they like changed like the font to like 90s like green goo, like extreme demand avoidance? Like, is that what's like?
Everything should be 90. I miss the 90s. I think life was better.
I was an infant during the 90s. Sorry,
my life wasn't better, but I think life was better in the 90s.
Life was
no social media.
Was fun. Yeah. Oh, dude. Like I watched the Woodstock 99 documentary recently, and I was like watching all of these people riot, and I was just like, oh, not a phone in sight. What a time to be alive.
They're just like bashing people's heads, but like, well, at least no one's recording it.
It was a simpler time. It was a better time. Yeah. Oh, well, what a world we live in, eh? But no,
we're joined.
What are we doing today?
We're joined again by our friend, /therapist, Ashley.
We'll give Ashley her credit. She's a hypnotherapist, coach, and breathwork practitioner.
We're not,
she's amazing.
She's here as our friend.
Yes,
she's here as our new third co-host, unofficially /officially.
So yeah, I'm sure Ashley will be joining us regularly to give us her wisdom and
we can only
teach us
hope.
what we can only imagine.
This might be the last time. She'll be like, oh, do you know what? I'm sick of these guys.
Stop it. No, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, so demand avoidance 2.0, we can kind of say. And I've got to say, the last Shazam in my phone is actually Imagine Dragons. I was in a cafe the other day, and they must have had a whole album of them on. I was like, yeah, this is really good. So yeah, I'm late to the party as well.
That's all right. I'm gonna blame everyone. I'm gonna blame my children.
You do know, if you want music, just ask me and I will tell you everything you possibly need to know. It's like one of my top special interests. It's just like, what do you want? What do you need?
But this is EDA, my friend. As if you tell me to listen to it, what do you think I'm gonna do?
Well, this is why I just put it on and just force you to listen to it. This is why I'm just like, here, sit, like, just put it on and you go, oh, who's this? And I'm like, you want to know now, do you? Yeah, I like that.
No, I have to figure out everything for myself because, like, there's no one in the world that can tell me what to do other than, I think, maybe my wife and now Ashley. Ashley, but you'll tell me like 50 things and there'll be like one thing that I'll just pick up on. But that's one thing more than anyone else has any chance in getting me to do. But I think Scotty as well he's good at making me feel like I had the idea. I'm like, we should do this thing, and Scotty's like, yeah.
That is the producer's gift of going. It's not my idea. It's your idea. Of course it is.
As long as it's my idea. It's not that I want credit. I just can't do it if it's not.
Yeah, fair enough.
He knows how to stroke my ego.
I love you. That's the other podcast. Moving on. Okay, so let's get this little quizzy up. So it's going to be a bit similar to an episode that we did a little while ago about screening tools. And it's the embraceautism.com website again. So a link is in the description, guys, if you want to follow this along wherever you are listening to this. And it's going to be a handful of questions. And are we EDA? I know I am. This is one of those tests where I know I've already won. So we'll.
And Ashley doesn't. Ashley's. You think that you have elements of it, but you've never taken a test like this before, have you?
I have not taken this test, and I have in my life now, since I've sort of retrained and sort of changed my mindset, I am so much better than I used to be. So I think my scores are going to be probably less than what they've been sort of probably most of my life. So yes, I think my demand avoidance used to be a lot worse, but it's still there. It's still there. It's not going away.
I think it'll be great to have it from a female perspective as well as two males. God, hate them men.
Right.
So yeah, let's we're gonna do it as like I think we can. Are we able to do 3 people with this? Like, can we do? This will be the ultimate test of ADHD.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So if I go first, then Scotty, and then Ashley, because that in the screen that I'm looking at, that's the order in which it goes.
Which is fun because the order's different for me. So
mess you up, boy.
Oh man, this is just what the world is not built for us, is it? Right. Okay. So yeah, we'll do it that way. So if I love how we're doing a quiz, and the most important thing we're trying to figure out is who speaks first. I love that. That's great.
Well, let's be honest. It's always going to be me.
Yeah.
There isn't. Yeah.
As you were. Anyway. Yeah. Right. Number 1.
Hold on. Just letting everyone know there'll be a link to this in the description of the podcast.
Yeah.
So you can play along.
That's what I want to do.
but don't do it while you're driving.
Yes, please don't do that. If you are listening to this in the car, wait until you're at home or you've stopped safely. Please and thank you. Okay, question number 1.
Okay, so we've got the EDA QA. Question number 1. I obsessively resist and avoid ordinary demands and requests. Do we just need that one question? that's it.
Kind of sums it up.
That's it. One question. Yeah, I obsessively resist and avoid ordinary demands and requests. Very true. Yes.
My silence says it all.
Yeah. My boss has to send me 2 emails saying the same thing, so I know he's serious before I do anything. Like he's like, "This is the thing you need to do. This is the thing you need to do." Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not that I don't. It's not that I do obsessively resist because I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that. It's scary, and that is normally my overriding feeling. It's the fear of not necessarily being able to do it, but getting it wrong. It's like, oh Christ! It's like it's almost harder doing things and knowing that you could mess it up more than you're actually going to enjoy it, and it's like a laborious feeling.
Ooh, almost like an anxiety.
Mm.
What about you, Ashley?
I am going to go for B, somewhat true. Now, I would say if I was taking this sort of 10 years ago, it would have definitely been C, mostly true.
Mm-hmm. You have grown. We have not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this.
Well, that's why you're the therapist.
Well, our resistance to things is where our, most of our suffering lies in the Buddhist context. So this is something that I've really been diving into the last sort of 4 or 5 years. So it's something that I do continually work on.
Yeah. Gotta love that Buddhism.
Never
Not a religion, an ideology.
The work never ends.
Yeah, philosophy. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, that was just one question, so we'll be here till at least 3 o'clock.
Yeah, we've got time.
I complain about what? See,
told you. Get
the
off
second
your bugger.
question. Second question. I've already ADHD.
No, it's my toy. You can't play with it. Number 2,
Scotty. Number 2.
That's what I said. I complain about illness or physical incapacity to avoid a request or demand. Now, very similar with you, Ashley. When I was at university and I was doing drama school and all this sort of thing before I did my postgrad, every single time there was a big performance or an audition and I was having demand avoidance about line learning, and it then got to the day and I didn't know my lines because I'm somebody who can read a script once and it goes in. And I would put it off and go, I can do it on the night. I'll do it on the night. Do it on the night, then turn up, have an anxiety attack, and then not be able to perform. So I always used to go, oh, I'm not very well. Oh, I'm ill. And I think I did that maybe 4 out of the 6 individual work pieces. And a lot of it, I'll be honest, was because the people that I did my course with, I really didn't like. And it's because I didn't want to perform in front of them because I was afraid of ridicule and embarrassment. And I used to just say I was ill all the time.
Oh yeah, I used to say that to get out of going to school all the time. That's not really that wasn't really a demand avoidant thing. That was more of I'm terrified of this place and I don't want to be here. So I would just make stuff up.
This is a difficult one because I used to in my past it would definitely be very true all the time. But now it's a difficult one for me to answer now because I do have a chronic illness and I have some physical incapacities that keep me from doing a lot of things, but I'm not creating it. So I think this question is basically saying, are you creating this complaint rather than it being actually valid? Is
like
that
manifesting
right?
it, sort of.
I see it as both. I see it as like maybe over exaggerating something that is there.
Right.
Just to make an excuse that you don't have to do something. So for me, I've put mostly true because obviously I have my back issues and sometimes I don't want to go to the gym because I want to play video games or I want to do something else. And I'll go, my back's hurting, so I don't want to go to the gym. And I know that if I went to the gym, it would be fine. But I'll say, I can't because it's my back. And it's not me saying that to other people. I'm not making excuses to other people. I'm saying that to myself to make excuses to myself. See, that to me is demand avoidance, is literally going, I'm avoiding my own demand on myself. Like I've made a plan. I'm going to go to the gym. I need to go and do a workout. And because that's not as fun as playing video games, I will make excuses in my own head of why I don't want to go. So for me, that is mostly true. Number 3, Ashley.
I am driven by the need to be in charge.
Definitely not. I'm chill. I'm the background guy. No one ever knows I'm there. Just
no comment.
Like, oh, where did you come from?
No comment.
And I was just like, yeah, I'm just over here, just being very quiet.
Yeah, well, and I think this also goes back to feeling safe. And I suppose this is a really interesting one, because there will be times where I feel it's nice to have somebody else in charge, where it's like, I don't want to have to deal with this. But actually, I'm very good. This is my autistic brain tearing these questions apart, because I'm like, well, sometimes I'm like this and sometimes I'm not. But I would say I'm either all in. So very true. I'm gonna put very true for myself, because then I feel safe that I know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I've been sat here umming and ahhing about it and going, I sometimes do like to coast and be a passenger. And I was like, the only reason I'm coasting and being a passenger is because I'm tired of being in control. Like, right, okay.
What is it like for you two, with me being so dominant of just like everything? Is that just, do you just go, oh, that's just him?
You know what you were saying, you just, be a witness. It was like, there's nothing, I can't stop you from doing it. I've just got to let you do your thing. And it's, at the end of the day, mate, if I'm asking you to be somebody you aren't, then I'm being ingenuine as a friend. So you are who you are. And sometimes, yeah, you can be a bit full on and you do tucker me out, but that's cool. That's people. That's most people for me. So
I have zero control over not being in charge. Like the only reason I worked really hard at work to get promoted was just so I had the autonomy. I didn't need, I don't like bossing people around. That's not my thing. I just need other people to not boss me around. That's it. I just need, it's like, there's a decision to be made. Oh, well, at least it's mine and it's not somebody else's. Because if it's somebody else's and then I disagree with it, my life and their life becomes very, very difficult.
Absolutely.
That's the issue. I have argued with so many people who have been in charge of me because I knew I was right and I knew they were wrong, and I've got myself into a lot of trouble. And I was like, I need to be the one in charge. So I am. And I work really hard at that and I love it. So I have to be in charge, because most people, I don't really trust them. So I need that autonomy. That's it for me.
I mean, one of the things that I would say is like that can be sometimes difficult to navigate with, like somebody like yourself, Jordan, who feels that need of control, is in a relaxed setting. Is like if we're at work, that sort of dynamic can work. I think sometimes where complications come in is if we're doing something fun and somebody goes, I want to do that, and you go, well, I don't, so we're not. You're like, that can sometimes be difficult to potentially navigate. But
that's what I've been really working with my kids. Because especially one of my kids, I'm not going to say which one,
but we all know which one it is.
She knows which one. Oh no, I've let the cat out the bag. Two words. She knows. But the thing is, I look at it and go, that's on me. Like when she's like that, I'm like, she's just being me. Like that is nurture over nature. So I look at it and just go, now it's my responsibility to help her do that, because that is basically my fault.
Well, and I mean, and getting to answer your question about, and I'm going to echo what Simon said, this being the witness, you being a sort of a dominant personality. I'm fascinated by human behavior. I'm fascinated by people. And I love to see somebody super passionate and just really like that tells me that person is just fully engaging with themselves. And that is a joy to see. It's a bit like listening to somebody talk about their special interest, even if it's not something that you're interested in. Seeing somebody be passionate about something is inspiring, and it's a really, you know, we can feed off of each other.
I told you Ashley would be good at this.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, it's my turn.
Oh, back to you. Yeah, it's you again.
Back to me. Yay. I got the ball. I find, number 4, I find everyday pressures, example, having to go on a routine trip, visit dentist, intolerably stressful. Yes.
Very true.
Oh my goodness me. My car, it just keeps coming up and saying that it needs to have its oil checked. And I'm like, sure you do. Stop making things up. And now it's like, this has to happen now. And Sylvia's like, this is the number. And I'm like, that's cool. And like, if somebody doesn't do this for me, the thing is that there'll be days where I'll be like, okay, I can do this. I can make this phone call, or I can do this, and I can do that. And by the end of it, and I go to Sylvia, go, guess what I did today? I did this and I did that. And then she rewards me with like kisses and smiles and happiness. And she might buy me like a chocolate, and she like literally rewards me like I've done a good job. Just doing things that I should just do as an adult. But she recognizes how difficult it is for me to actually get over that hurdle, to make those phone calls, to do those things. And she makes me like out like, oh, you've been so good. You did, what a proactive day you've had. And I was like, yeah, it's really good. Yeah. Like that's, oh, I love my wife.
Give you a really good example of this, right? I've had to chase meds again, as per usual, still struggling. Mate, since July, since I've had them properly. And I rung up the doctor the other day and went, I'm trying to do the online portal thing and it's not working. Just want to get my meds. And he went, oh, that's fine. All you have to do is come down to the GP and show us your ID. And I was like, screw you. Oh. Why did you tell me to do that?
Oh.
Why did you say that's what I have to do? It's taken me, it's been a week. It's been a week since that phone call. And I'm gone, I haven't got time. I haven't got time out of my really busy life and schedule and routine. I have designed it so everything fits flawlessly. Bugger off. I was like, you know, it's me. We spoke on the phone. I've given you my details. You know, it's me. Just throw a dog a bone here. Come on.
They might as well have said, get on an airplane, drive to Turkey, you know, fly to Turkey, then get in a car, drive to Greece, find a doctor down some lane.
I was like, you get your ID. Hang up. Yeah, basically.
They don't get it. What about you, Ashley?
Well, funnily enough, right before we got onto recording today, I've been dealing with a returns process. I had to print out a form. I've got to sit. I bought something online, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm going to have to go to the post office. It's going to be a nightmare because I'm on the Isle of Man, and sometimes return slips work. Sometimes they don't. It's always a mystery which ones work and which ones don't. And I'm just like, oh my God, can I just not return this? But it's actually quite an expensive item. And so yeah, I'm spiraling. I'm spiraling with one return that I know I'm going to have to go to the post office. And it's just,
So that's very true for you.
Yes, very true for me. Okay.
Number 5, Scotty.
Oh dear. I tell other people how they should behave, but do not feel these rules apply to me. Silence.
That's just not true for me, because I base my whole life of like integrity. Like if I don't have integrity, I have nothing. And we in the house, we've always called them like Daddy's rules or Joe's rules, of like, these are my rules, and these are my rules because this is what I do. Like, you don't cheat, you don't hit kids. There were just rules. It's like, you know, you don't lie, you don't cheat, you know, you like, and I wouldn't be able to say to someone, oh, this is how you should do it, if I wasn't prepared to do it that way. Maybe I'm reading. I tell other people how they. Yeah, no, I'm spot on. Yeah, just like, no,
what do you think,
I
Ashley?
can't do that.
Well, I do think sometimes, because I totally agree with you there, but I think this is where we can surprise ourselves sometimes, because this is where shadow work can really come in. A lot of times what annoys us about somebody else is something that we're already doing ourselves. But we don't see it, and I'm trying to think of a really good example now, and I'm not, because I know, I mean, I catch myself. I feel like I'm really self-aware, but we all have blind spots. So I think probably we all have a real sense of need to be, as you say, integrity and be honest and things like that. But I do think every once in a while, things that annoy us about somebody else, we are likely probably doing something a little bit similar. Maybe not on a grand scale, like a lie or anything like that.
That has never happened to me.
Right, okay.
Hands down.
Love your honesty. So I would say I'm kind of, I agree. I'm in sort of in a similar ilk of where you are with that, Ashley. But again, Jordan, I'm with you on that, because the rage triggers for me, I've said it on here before, is like idiot rage. When I see how people drive, it's because I think they're being inconsiderate and they're being unsafe. Or when somebody's rude, I'm like, were you dragged up? Like, come on. And it's because they are like, my integrity is almost like my rules for living. But then I find, at the moment especially, I am in that point of my life now where people are starting to tell me I'm old. So I'm working with like people that are like 20 and 21, and they're like, oh, you're so old. Oh, and they're just like bashing me with it at the minute, which is great. But it's also a bit like, oh, new feeling. What is this? Like, oh, I feel nostalgia now. What happened? And there's a couple of guys that I work with who are really green. And like, if I was to put it in a really blunt phrase, I've kind of forgotten more than they know. And they're kind of going through life at the moment, and I see that the way that they're behaving, and it's winding me up. And the reason as to why it's winding me up is because that's exactly what I used to be like, and it's making me cringe. It's like, I can't believe I used to do that. I used to be so like lazy at work and be like, oh, where's he gone now? Oh, he's gone to find a job to stop doing the thing I've asked him to do. And I'm like, oh, I used to do that. And it's almost like I can see people BSing using the things that I used to say. And it's just like, now I'm older and wiser, it is annoying me. So it's almost like that hindsight thing. And because of that, I have been more stuck with being, with my own rules and stuff.
Yeah, but when you were doing those things, were you going around telling other people they shouldn't do those things? Because I'm guessing you weren't, because you weren't aware that the things you were doing were annoying.
Oh, yeah, I would never toss it off at work and then tell everybody they're being lazy and they need to try harder. That's not something that I would do. I know a lot of people do that, but it's not something that I would do.
Can we go back to the word toss off at work? Is that a northern thing? Because I personally, I wait till I get home to do anything remotely.
Is that a northern thing?
Like, what? For me, it sounds like you might have been spanking a monkey.
Oh no!
In a toilet.
Oh no!
That's right.
Oh, I finally just
tossing off.
Have you never heard that? You're tossing it off at work.
Gross, dude! Don't do it at work.
No, you've taken that so.
Wait till you come home.
You've taken that so literally. You've taken that so come home. Literally.
There is ladies present.
I am so right. Apologies.
There's ladies
anybody.
And children present. I'm the child.
Right. Remember,
obviously.
We've only just got electricity.
I'm innocent.
So we are.
I've never.
Those winters get cold up north, mate. No, I'm joking. Sorry.
Jesus Christ! You wear gloves while you do it.
No, look, listen. We have words and terminologies that have different meanings to what you guys have down there. I can't get my head around this. In America, there'll be hundreds of miles of state. They'll have the same accent and they'll use the same words. You literally go halfway down the M25. It's a different language. What's that about?
Yeah. No, that's true.
Right.
All right. So, and if I call you a wanker, you can't deny it.
Yeah, all right. And I'll not bleep it out either. That's me told.
Number 6.
Okay. I love this one. I can't wait to get to the bottom of this one. I mimic other people's mannerisms and styles, e.g. using phrases adopted from other people to express myself to others.
Very
this
true for me.
This is me all over. I mean, it's so funny, especially once I started to do a lot of YouTube work and video podcasting. I would watch myself back and I would go, "Oh my God, I am basically completely emulating Whitney Cummings, who I love. She's an American comedian. She's got her own podcast. She gesticulates quite a lot as I do. So that's always been natural. But watching it back, I'm like, okay, this just looks like I'm completely pretending to be her without even realizing it. So I know I definitely have this tendency. I mean, I picked up when I was I've lived in the South, but I lived in Atlanta, which is kind of a transplant city. So not a lot of thick, heavy accents. But then when I was 16, we moved just an hour south to sort of middle Georgia. And within a couple of months, I had completely turned into a very thick Southern accent. So I know I have this propensity within me. And it's interesting that this is part of demand avoidance. I wouldn't have connected those two. So yeah, I'm curious about the two of you.
Sweetheart.
Oh, I'm like a parrot.
Baby cakes.
Ooh, kitten whiskers. Sad but true. I mean, I will be, as an example, I was in America in April, and by the end of the trip, I was already calling petrol gas.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just, you're talking to...
fill up my truck.
I fill up my truck. But, like, I find I talk to people, and especially if I'm, like, abroad, I will use the word that they use for something in conversation to try and seem more relatable or be able to, like, communicate better. I don't even realize I do it until I'm doing it. It's like I'll talk to, like, a couple of my American friends, and I will use the American words for things in conversation rather than my own. And that's not necessarily conscious. I just do it. It's almost like trying to feel relatable or connect with people. I think that's why I do it.
Yeah. What about you, Jordan?
No, I'm just...
I'm OG, me. Yeah.
I'm just... Yeah, I mean, it's other people that want to go around just copying everything I do, personally. I mean, no, that's ridiculous. No, I've done it all my life. Even to the point where it's like I'll go for a meal with, like, CEOs of companies and things like that, and I'll start speaking like this. I'll use my phone voice, and
Good morning, how are you?
Yes, it's a wonderful, wonderful day.
You just turn into like the village butcher.
Yes.
Oh, good morning, hello, madam. How are you? Oh, hello.
No, it's very, very lovely day. And then I'll get on a train, and then I'll cross the SW, and I'll go into South London to watch a Chelsea match, and I'll just start talking like that. And it's almost like as soon as you get over that threshold, and you see that Stamford Bridge,
the pigeon neck kicks in.
Yeah. You just like, all right. How's it going? And the thing is, right, Ashley, is that this accent, this is the accent that I would use most of the time when I was a kid, because, like, if you didn't, you get called a posh twat, and I get that. So now my kids describe me as a Cockney gangster with manners. So I've still got that sort of Cockney, because I'm from South London, so I've got a South London Cockney accent, but at the same time, I grew up in Surrey, so I have this, like, posh accent, and everybody told me off if I start talking like that, and it's like, what's the matter? And they go, it has a T in it, and I go, I don't like tea, I like coffee. And so, but yeah, definitely 100%. But also it's not just that, it's like clothes I wear as well, like not just mannerisms. And I'm 100%. You were saying about Whitney Cummings. I'm 100% Eddie Izzard. Just 100.
Oh my God, I love it.
You see it now. You see that, right? Yeah. I am 100%. My whole thing on stage whenever I do a talk, I'm like, I am Eddie Izzard and and Jordan at the same time. Because I watched so much Eddie Izzard as a kid.
Yes, he became a special interest of mine back when I was still living in the States. And I can remember he helped me. So copying and emulating him, I can remember distinctly being at a company Christmas party and I had huge social anxiety. But I had done such a deep dive into Eddie. I just found myself kind of like riffing some of his stuff. And I was sort of like the life of the party. And I was like, this is just amazing. So yeah. I mean,
I'm covered in bees.
Yeah.
Just some of the best stuff. I mean, talk about echolalia. I was echolaliaing things like Eddie Izzard, Mighty Bush, everything Monty Python.
Yeah.
And of course, the much now hated, which I still personally love, Little Britain. I will never, ever hate Little Britain. But yeah, but I also think it comes down to clothes as well. Like I've copied a lot of my fashion, a lot of my clothes from movies, TV shows, and people that I've admired. I didn't copy David Attenborough's fashion. Wasn't for me. The slacks wasn't for me. But yeah, so I think I can put mostly true, but now I've talked about it, I think just very true.
Yeah.
I'm going to change that. Number 7, I have difficulty complying with demands and requests from others unless they are carefully presented. I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even think we need to talk about that because we've literally already talked about that.
Yeah.
I mean, disagree if you like, but should we move on to number 8? I think that one's pretty.
I mean, this
obvious.
one's. I think we've already answered this one as well. I take on roles or characters from TV in real life and act them out.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah. The amount of times I walked on stage and did a Lee Evans impression and everyone loved it.
Oh, I love Lee Evans. I saw Lee Evans in Guildford live. It cost me £15. I miss the 90s. I'm just saying. Now it'd cost me £350.
Yeah.
And I'd have to.
I mean, he retired too early because he could have
traffic.
made some serious money nowadays with how much tickets cost. I won't tell you what I've paid to see Limp Bizkit next year. Jesus.
Ooh.
Yeah, I wanted to go and see The Offspring, and it was like £75.
Oh, it was north
and then
of that,
everyone
mate.
was like, that's nothing. And I said to Sylvia, oh, it's £75. She's like, oh, is that all? I'm like, what do you mean is that all? It's £75. And it's like, because it wasn't that long ago where I went and saw Nickelback for £25. And I say that, but that was over a decade ago. And I just forgot how long ago.
Dude, I had a family member say to me, they were like, oh, see if you can get Oasis tickets, but if they're north of 40 quid, don't bother. And I was like, you do. I was like, I genuinely said to them, I was like, you know, the Berlin Wall's already down, right? Like, blimey, 40 quid for an Oasis ticket. That's like 400 quid for an Oasis ticket.
How much did you pay for Limp Bizkit tickets? And why didn't you invite me? Is it because I would just complain about the price?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I knew you wouldn't pay it. 90 quid a pay for them.
I might be Southern, but I'm Northern in my tightness.
Don't get me wrong, but so I've girl mathed it. This is the thing. I've done the girl math thing where it's like, the support act I've seen before and I've paid £50 for that. So technically I'm paying £50 to see them again. So Limp Bizkit is an extra on top of that for an extra £40. So really, I'm saving money.
Wait a minute. So
I like that. Yeah.
So 90.
Yeah, you go.
Okay. So going on the fact that £75 is actually a reasonable price, £90 is probably not that unreasonable then.
No, that is kind of the average. It's like recently, Blink-182 did a reunion tour, my favourite band. 2 tickets in Manchester for great seats was £500, £250 each.
Wow.
So Karis and I found exactly the same seats in an arena in Amsterdam.
Nice.
And the flights, the hotel, and the 2 tickets was less than 2 tickets to see them in Manchester.
Oh my God.
So basically we're just saying Manchester is terrible.
I'm not saying Manchester is terrible. Manchester is probably the best city. Well, you take that if you like. But it is the best city in the world to watch live music, in my opinion, of where I've been. I've never been to Memphis. I've never been to New Orleans, so I can't comment on those. But in the UK, it is the best city to watch live music. You will not find a better atmosphere. You will not find better fans, and you will not have a better experience than in Manchester. I've been all over this country watching music. It's Manchester, trust me.
But how did we get there? I'm just looking at the question. I'm like, that has nothing to do with...
Because we were talking about music, weren't we? Ticket prices. But no, yeah, so...
ADHD, people. ADHD.
Right, okay. Next question.
Number 9.
Right. I show little shame or embarrassment. For example, I might throw a tantrum in public and not be embarrassed. Well, this is not me at all. I have huge amounts of embarrassment, especially in, sort of like in public. So I've answered A.
Yes, me too.
I've gone B because I am a hissy fit waiting to happen. And generally speaking, I couldn't give a rat's ass who is around me when I have said hissy fit. And I have definitely had a huge ones in public spaces. Punched walls. I dented a lift. If the police are inquiring about that, I've just made that story up. But yeah, I have actually. I put somewhat true because I haven't done it for a long time. I've been in a much better place. My mental health way better. But I have had massive hissy fits. Like I say, hissy fits. There were meltdowns. Let's be honest. But yeah, I don't like the use of the word tantrum in public. I find that to be quite insulting because I don't feel like I've had tantrums. I've had meltdowns, and that's a serious issue. So boo to that question. That's what I say. Number 10, I invent fantasy worlds or games and act them out. That is my entire life is a fantasy because I live with Sylvia and I can't believe she's real. I'm like, you're my wife? You're my wife? I'm so lucky. Still can't believe that. But yeah, big time.
I so used to be like this. I used to be in such a daydream. And I can genuinely say now I'm not as present as I'd like to be, but I am a lot present compared to where I used to be. So for this, I'm going to put somewhat true because when I was it's weird because I would probably say I am a highly masking person still, but compared to where I have been, I wouldn't consider myself a highly masking person now personally. And I used to like mask my life and like imagine situations and make assumptions and mountains out of molehills with like, I'd hear one thing that somebody'd say in a conversation and it'd be the only thing I'd hear and just completely make up a whole situation based around things like that. And I view that as a fantasy world, whether it's positive or negative, really, because it's not real. So I'm going to put for that somewhat true. However, 5 years ago, if you'd asked me that question again, I would have put very true.
Ashley?
Yeah, well, this is a really interesting question for me, and I'm gonna share some things about myself that only a few people know, and I feel comfortable to share this now in my life.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, so like Simon, not so much these days, but I'm going to have to put very true because this is such a huge part of my childhood through to, if I'm honest, mid to late 20s. And it's so interesting. I had a realization now and it caused an enormous amount of shame. I was very much a loner for most of my life. And that's where I felt safe. And I would create these scenarios and have imaginary conversations and, just picture imaginary sort of scenarios. And I used to wonder why was I doing this? I had this sort of like intense shame around it. And I've realized that, we are all human and we all crave connection, social connection. So even though I didn't feel safe around people, I still needed to have this perceived sort of, express myself and talk and have these imaginary conversations as if I was who I wanted to be. And so, yeah. So this is a really, really, really interesting quiz, because I had no idea that this tied into demand avoidance.
No,
Neither did I
didn't
actually.
either.
Yeah.
It's well, thank you for sharing that with us.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
That's very
because
reflective of my experience as well. Most of my
and
20s,
mine.
I've
Big
just
time.
I've been surrounded by people but still been a loner, because my imaginary world has felt more real and more present than the real world.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and a lot of my friendships have failed because I've actually imagined that friend to be a better friend or a closer friend than they are, because I'm imagining spending more time with them than I really do. And yeah, it's a complex feeling, that of not feeling like you live in the real world, and it's complicated.
And I think, and so hopefully people listening take comfort in this. If you find yourself in a fantasy world, that's okay. There's no shame in that. And we do these things to sort of connect to all the different aspects of the human experience that maybe we're not having in the real world. And, obviously if it's getting in the way of certain things in your life, and that's a whole other issue. But, you're not alone, and you're not abnormal for doing these sort of things.
No, definitely not.
Yeah,
I
very
mean,
well said.
my whole book, a little different from the rest. That's my actual novel that I wrote for my children, and then I self-published it. Is about a younger me going through a tragic experience and then regressing into fantasy worlds, and that's the whole book is like 6 different stories within the main story of him regressing into this fantasy world, so he doesn't have to cope with the normal world, like because the normal world, terrible things, his father's abusive, and he's been bullied at school, and his older brother has died, and obviously it's based on me as a kid, but it's slightly different to it's from my life. But like, that's the whole thing. He just goes into these fantasy worlds, and I wrote that based on the fact that's what I would do as a kid, is just go into fantasy worlds, because I would rather live in a fantasy than have to deal with the reality that I was being abused. That's what was actually happening to me, and that's why a lot of what actually did happen to me I don't remember, because I was off in a fantasy world. And then other people remind me and say, "Oh, this thing happened to you." And I was like, "Oh my God, that I don't even remember that."
I have to admit, my memory from my 20s is very patchy, because I genuinely can't remember if it's something that I thought about, or something that actually happened. And that can be a really unstable place to feel, where you don't really like, you can't trust your own memory. And also, adding to that as well, I think this is why I like playing video games, because it's the escape.
Big time.
It's the escape.
Oh God, yeah, 100%.
So yeah, I'm gonna have to. I put somewhat.
Now you mentioned
somewhat
video
true,
games,
but now I think I'm gonna have to put mostly true. Because I don't. At the moment I'm playing a video game where there is an element of role play in it, and I'm really committing to it. I'm really enjoying it and having a lot of fun. And,
well, I am a cowboy in my game, so I'm just living that cowboy life.
Yeah, hoorah! Okay, number 11. Is it me or is it you? I can't remember.
Number 11. It is. It is. Numbers.
It is me. You're right. It is me. Okay. I am good at getting around others and making them do as I want. Now, if you'd asked me this 5 years ago, I would have said, no, not a chance. But now, knowing what I know now and with a bit of experience, I would actually say mostly true, because I'm able to actually get myself to do what I want now. So I think it's, if I can get myself to do something, I think I can get somebody else to do it. So I'm going to put mostly true for that.
I'm unintentionally one of the most manipulative humans alive. And I will say that, and because I have, self-awareness, that I know I manipulate situations around me, but I don't do it in a nefarious way. I don't do it as like, I want something from you, so I'm going to try to convince you or sell you something or anything like that. I do it just so my day can be easier. So their day will be easier. So I manipulate everything around me, whether it's people or my environment or whatever. I will try and create an environment in which I don't have a meltdown. So I will play the game just so I can win it, so I don't have a meltdown because it wasn't the way I expected it to be. So I don't do it all the time, but I do it when I need to. But I can be very, very manipulative in order for me to have better mental health, if that makes sense.
Makes total sense. What about you, Ashley?
Ashley?
What do you think?
Yeah, this is not something that I am inherently very good at. I think this goes back to my sort of, for many years, I was basically a doormat. So I was the one where people would get me to do what they wanted to do. Very much a people pleaser. And this is where, you know, maybe, having the female perspective, I think, not in every scenario, but I think women do tend to be, people pleasers, natural people pleasers. So
absolutely.
So yeah, I'm putting not true on that. And yeah, it's been something that I'm trying to work on, to try, and because I think, you know, it would be good to sort of meet in the middle and be able to bring people around. I think I'm still working on this narrative that I can't get people to do what I need them to do. So that's where my work lies.
No, that makes sense. A lot of sense. Number 12, Ashley.
I am unaware or indifferent to the differences between myself and figures of authority, parents, teachers, and police. This is definitely not true for me. I am very aware.
No one's in charge of me. I couldn't give a damn who you are. No one tells me what to do. Just no, apart from maybe Sylvia.
I'm going to put somewhat true, because I used to be really anxious around authority figures, whether it was like teachers or police or everything. And now I kind of just see that they're just people with jobs. Like, I used to just think like, oh, they're a teacher, so it's like, I have to listen to what they say. And now I'm just a bit like, you're just some dude who got qualified and you have a job. That's all it is. So that's kind of like, I would say somewhat true, because it used to be not true.
I think the biggest one is the doctors situation. There's so many autistic people that just trust doctors and trust what they say. And I literally go and see a doctor and I'm like, I know more than you do. And because I think it's, as soon as I found out that I'm actually probably more intelligent than most people that I meet, I just immediately went, I'm not better than you, but you ain't better than me. I don't care if you got a uniform. I don't care if you got qualifications. I don't care what your title is. Prove that you know more than I do.
It's interesting.
So for me, it's like
thinking like that, really.
Yeah, so I just immediately have this thing of like, you have to earn my respect. You don't get it just because of who you are. You need to earn respect with me every day, and I feel the same about me. I need to earn. I need people to respect me, and I need to show them. I don't immediately expect respect. I have to show respect, and some people don't deserve respect, and those people leave dog poo bags on trees. Just saying.
Yeah.
If that's you, I hate you.
Yeah.
I hate you.
So yes.
Anyway,
somewhat,
number 13.
Somewhat true.
Oh, for me, just very, very true, I guess. I think we just figured that one out. 13. I will still sometimes have a meltdown. Scream, tantrum, hit or kick. Whatever. If I feel pressurized to do something. Meltdowns. Yeah, I mean, obviously I do still have meltdowns, but I don't normally have meltdowns because, oh no, I suppose if someone's like, oh, you need to do this thing and I really don't want to do this thing and I actually want to do something different, that can definitely, that can definitely lead to a meltdown.
I mean, I've got work in an hour or so and I really could do without going to work today. But I kind of have
call
to.
him up for you. He's sick.
Well,
he keeps tossing at work.
Oh, stop it.
I'm telling on you. I'm telling on you.
So yeah, it's like, it's not that it's, I really don't like the fact that they've used tantrum. I don't like the fact they've used the word tantrum. That has irked me, because scream, hit or kick, I'm not a hitter, I'm not a kicker. I am a grumpy face smarty boy. I will say that. Especially if I'm pressurized to do something. I've managed to inherit my dad's frown, which is just permanent. I really don't want to go to work later. And there is a little part of me, the inner child in me, that's like, screw it, I want to play video games and stay in pajamas. if I'm completely honest. But bills have got to be paid, and that's just how the cookie crumbles, unfortunately.
Oh, I definitely scream, hit and kick. like I'm a 3-for-1. I punched a wall so hard last year that I actually broke my hand. Like,
oh wow,
that's rough.
Like, I broke my hand, and that was only because my son and my wife wouldn't have a conversation with each other. They both were having problems, and they were having them through me. So I was hearing one side, and then I was hearing the other side, and then I was actually literally between the two of them on the. My son was at the top of the stairs, my wife's at the bottom of the stairs, and I'm just like, just talk to each other. And I just punched the wall as I was shouting, trying to reiterate like how just talk to each other. And I literally, as soon as I did it, I was like, oh my God, I have actually done something. And 3 weeks later, I went to the emergency room. So that's also demand avoidance.
Yeah,
I had a broken hand for 3 weeks and refused to go to the hospital because I had other things to do. Like, genuinely. That's actually.
How about
Ashley?
You? Yeah, how about you, Ashley?
Well, my meltdowns are the hallmark of my meltdowns are just crying, and really heavy duty crying. I cry very easily. So my meltdowns, I don't tend to hit or kick or scream. It is crying, and I'm going to put somewhat true, because yes, this will still happen every now and again. If I feel, it's this feeling of feeling helpless, like I have no other option, and this intense pressure, and again, it's that feeling of losing agency and losing control. So yeah, I'm gonna go somewhat true.
Crikey, we're only on 14.
Hey,
I know. How many are there?
There's only another
26.
There's 10. There's like 10 or 11 to go, but I think a couple of them are quite repetitive. But this one,
this is good.
Yeah,
we could do a 2-hour episode.
Yeah, very interesting. So if you're listening along, I hope you're enjoying it, because it's going to keep going for a bit. Okay, question 14. Oh, this is me, the golden retriever in me. I like to be told I have done a good job.
Oh,
yes.
I love feeling
that.
like a good boy.
Yeah. To be honest, I love it so much, but I love it more than anything when Sylvia says it.
Oh,
if Sylvia thinks and says, "Oh, you did a good thing," or "Oh, you're looking very handsome today," and
"Oh, my sweet handsome boy," and I'm just there like,
"Oh, yeah,
it's very true." Wagging my tail, yeah.
Freaking dopamine overload. I'm like, you are literally the goddess in my life, and you told me nice things, and I'm like, yay. But I know it's the other way around as well. Like, we just sit around complimenting each other after bashing each other down. You know, we got to smash it down to build it back up again. You go, "Oh, you're looking fat," and the next day she'll be like, "No, she doesn't really." She doesn't do that. She doesn't do that. She used to. Ashley.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Very true. Very, very true. It is just, as you say, just a huge dopamine rush of like, yes, yes, yes. It's a wonderful feeling.
It is. I definitely just think it's just down. I think it's an ND thing in general, just because we are treated so badly when we're kids. And we're just so desperate to fit in and be part of the group.
Get a good grade.
And get a good grade. And any sort of compliment that we can get for anything that we do, I think it's just the best feeling ever. I mean, it's like the first time somebody said that they love my photography, immediately I just went, well, there's something wrong with you. But then when more people started saying it felt so good. And look what's happened since then. So like compliments can really help us.
Absolutely.
15.
I have a very rapidly changing mood. For example, I can switch from affectionate to angry in an instant. I wouldn't say that I can, my mood can change pretty rapidly, but not in an instant. I mean, unless something, just really out of the ordinary happens. I'll tell you what can happen. I have a very, my startle reflex is insane. It's off the charts. So I could be in and my poor partner, bless him, he's so lovely. We actually had to come up with a system, because if I'm in the kitchen, like doing the dishes or something, and I don't hear him come in, and he comes in, and even he's not trying to startle me, but oh my God, I'll just go, ah, and then I'm just in an instant, I'm like, ah. So we've actually come up with a system where he sort of like walks into the room, sort of clapping his hands, so I can hear him coming in.
It's so funny you say that, Ashley. I have that with my partner, Karis. She is the amount of times she will walk out of the room for 5 minutes and come back in, and she'll just go, "Oh Jesus, like, I live here. I've always lived here. It's like I haven't left. I was like, I've always been here." So I like do this thing where like I knock on doors now.
Yeah.
So as long as like just to like tap, I'm like, I'm just over here. I'm just in here. By the way, I'm over here now.
Yes.
Yeah, bless her. It'd be really funny when we move, because for the first time we'll be on different floors. So because we've lived in an apartment and we're moving into a house, we're actually going to have the upstairs, downstairs, where are you sort of thing. So
nice.
I'm going to have to come up with a new system.
I'm thinking about getting some maracas or something. So
I was just about to say I might get like a little bell system, just like going, right, I'm coming upstairs now, maybe. That is funny. But yeah, when I think about this question, I'm going to put somewhat true, because there have been moments where I have been really, really upset and been in a meltdown, and somebody has been really supportive and been with me, and they kind of make me laugh, and it has shocked me how suddenly I feel okay again. Like I'll go from being in a really distressed sense or really stressed, and then suddenly somebody will help me in that situation, or maybe I might even help myself, and suddenly I just kind of go, oh, it's gone now. Yes. And that can be hard to explain to people as well. Some people kind of like, there's been times when I've almost been in a state of meltdown and then calmed down, and people have been like, well, that was dramatic, or, well, you're obviously faking it because you're fine now. So that has been a complex thing. And I did not know that was a part of EDA. Even though some of the terminology on this assessment is a bit dated. Questionable. The questions are actually very interesting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm just going to put very true and leave it at that. I change with the wind. So 16. I know what to do or say to upset particular people. Wow. This is a very interesting question, because I put very true. I know how to really hurt people.
Yeah,
hurt people. But I don't.
I know how to, but I don't.
Yeah, I know. But
like it's a strange question, isn't it?
Yeah, the amount of times that like I'll have people joshing me, and I've literally got like a finishing move, kill streak, go for the jugular word or phrase just on the tip of my tongue, and it's a defense mechanism. It's because I was bullied, and people used to say crap to me, so I used to just say the most hurtful thing I could say back, because that was my way of going, get the hell away from me. And I've really had to work on that. The amount of times where I've been like in social situations and people are just taking the mickey out of each other, and I say something and everyone goes quiet, and I'm just like, oh, crap, I shouldn't have said that.
It's very hard to find the line of banter and bullying.
It's why I don't really engage with banter, genuinely, because I'm like, I don't know what's going to upset people, and I also sometimes feel like you've not earned that with me yet. So that's why I kind of don't really get involved with it.
I find that really interesting, because it's why I am really good at banter, is because I know how to really, really hurt someone, and I just don't go there. So I keep away from the things. Like there's someone who I work with who is very overweight, or well, there's a few people that are very, very unhealthy, very unhealthy. I worry about them, like wheezing going upstairs. They use the lift just to go up 2 flights of stairs. But if I'm in a banter with them, I would never bring that up. I would never bring that up, because I know that how much that would hurt them. And I'm like, I don't want to hurt you. This is banter. I just want to play around with you. So, it's like if I knew someone was really sensitive about their hairline, or they were losing their hair, I'm not going to bring up that. So I know I know what I could do, but why would I do that? The whole point of banter is that it's meant to be fun. I don't want to hurt these people's feelings, because that's horrible. That happened to me so much. People would sniper me with the most awful things, and it would destroy me. I'm like, I'm not going to do that to other people. Not intentionally. Like, there has been points where people have asked me questions and I've given them a straight answer, which was mean, but I didn't realize that was mean. But now I do. I'm getting there. It's only taking me like 40 years. I'm like, yay! I've figured it out.
It's part of the journey, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's difficult to know how to answer this question, because I think, like Jordan was saying, I tend to want to know what not to say. So yes, I will know what could upset somebody so that I can make sure not to say it. Because the last thing I want to do is to upset somebody else, to the point of almost, there have been many times along the way of fawning. I've had a long history of fawning with people. To those of you who are listening and aren't quite sure what fawning is, so you've got fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. It's a way of reducing overwhelm by being overly nice to try and bring a situation down. So I'm not quite sure how to answer this one. Again, I'm sort of picking these questions apart. So I might just go mostly true, I think.
That fawning thing, by the way, that's really, I never heard that.
Really
that's
interesting.
Oh, have you not heard that? Yeah,
that's exactly what Sylvia does. Like 100%, she'll go into work and be like overly nice. And I'm like, that's not you. That you're putting on a show. And she was like, yeah, because I don't want to have to deal with anyone. If I do that, then everyone thinks I'm really, really nice and no one gives me any grief. And I'm like, that sounds like the most boring day. I enjoy getting loads of grief.
And it's a nervous system response as well. It's happening, it's a way of staying safe in the moment. So, yeah.
No, I definitely know people who have done that.
Yeah.
It's like a safety thing.
Yeah, definitely.
You're like, you're not like that. And
and
they're like, no, but it's a good way to be. But anyway, cool. 17. Is it you? Is it me?
I think it's me. We'll go with me.
So, yeah, we'll go with you.
17. I blame or target a particular person/persons.
Yeah, I've seen this a lot with people, especially with meltdowns. They will literally only have their meltdown with the person they trust the most. It's a big problem it's a big problem with the whole assessment process when assessment companies or doctors or whatever, they'll go to the school and the school will go, no, Timmy's doing absolutely fine. He's never had a meltdown ever. And the mum's like, he tore my fridge door off. My 7-year-old tore my fridge door off in a meltdown. And they're like, we haven't seen this at school. And it's like, yeah, because he masked all day at school, got home, felt really comfortable around his mum because she's the person that understands the most. And then literally Coke bottle effect and rips. And it's not deliberate. It's not, oh, I hate my mum. It's, I love my mum the most. And that's why I'm comfortable, because a meltdown is not our fault. It's not a deliberate, a violent act. It is literally a reaction to overstimuli and just too much going on. And I have had my worst meltdowns with Sylvia, and I hate that, but she understands that. And it's not at her. It's like I've never hurt her, but most of my worst meltdowns were around Sylvia because I didn't want them to be around the kids. I wasn't going to do them at work. Where else am I going to have my meltdown? And it's not a deliberate thing. It's a completely subconscious thing.
Yeah. Well, this is, if you look at animals in the wild, so if an antelope is being chased by a lion and the antelope manages to get away and get to safety, once it knows that it's safe, it will drop to the ground and it will convulse to get rid of all of those stress hormones. So that's exactly what's happening with you, with Sylvia. You know you're safe, and it's time to let it all out. So it's nature.
Fascinating.
That is really, really good.
That makes so much sense. I've never had it described to me like that. I have to constantly remind myself I am an animal.
Yeah.
And you can see you can see our behaviors in nature, but it's just been hidden by modern context and technology.
Yes.
And I will have that so much where I will have a really stressful day. And when I used to perform a lot and used to be on stage 2 show days, 3 times a week, sometimes for a fortnight, the illness that I used to have when I used to get off stage, I used to get in the dressing room and I used to put my head on the table and shake.
Yeah.
And just be like, this horrible, horrible, almost like earthquakey feeling. And I'd feel fine afterwards. And I've never acknowledged that. And if anything, I forgot I used to do that until you just mentioned it.
Wow. Yeah.
Which is really interesting to think
about. Well, this is why we really need to be careful to... this is how trauma gets stored in the body. If we don't allow it to be released, then trauma will get stored in the body. So this is why things like working with somatic therapists are becoming really popular. Things like ecstatic dancing, really moving things out of your body, moving the stress out of your body following a traumatic event is really important.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, meltdowns aren't good. So we need to find something else to help us, because we still need that release. It shouldn't be in a meltdown if we can help it. Like, it's not bad to have a meltdown, but like, I'd rather not. I'd rather release in the gym or release on a video game or find something else, or just a bucket of chocolate, just something. Sometimes I just eat a bucket of chocolate and I don't have a meltdown, and people are like, "Oh, that's really not healthy." And I'm like, "Right,
it's better than the alternative.
But it's better than me breaking my hand on a wall."
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd rather eat a bucket of chocolate.
Exactly.
Like, I can go for a run and not worry about eating a bucket of chocolate. But I can't go for a run and not worry about punching a wall and having anyway. 18. Ashley.
I deny things I have done, even if I am caught red-handed.
No,
not true for me.
Yeah, no. I think maybe when I was a kid and I got caught stealing food, sometimes I would try and, but that, no.
Yeah, no, we're now absolutely not.
I'd be just a terrible spy.
Like, me too.
Who are you?
Just tell Sylvia. I tell Sylvia everything, like everything. Like, I would never cheat. Like, to me, that's just so disgusting. But if I ever did, I'd just come back and go, "Babe, I just cheated on you."
Sorry.
I could just tell her everything, literally everything.
I genuinely can't imagine being able to like sleep next to my partner knowing that. And knowing that I was keeping something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know how I'd be able to. I don't know how I'd be able to function, honestly. I mean, there's been times where, like, I've not done terrible things, but I've done maybe been a bit naughty and done things I shouldn't have done. And then somebody asks me, and I was kind of just like, "Oh, I shouldn't have done that." And then as soon as somebody asks me about it, it's like my face just goes, and I can't. It just starts moving, and I can't hide it. I've got a terrible, terrible poker face.
We are oversharers, aren't we? I know.
Is this when you were tossing at work?
No, that's what I mean. But this does happen, though. I had a lady stop me at work the other day with her dog, and then I ended up telling her about how I had to once give up a dog, and I just went, I don't know why I told you that.
Yeah.
Enjoy your meal, and just walked off. And I was like, I literally was in the back and I was like, oh, that was so cringe. Just, ugh. Just got to live with that feeling now.
19. I can be distracted, preoccupied. From within, I absorbed in my own world.
No. Yeah,
oh, yeah.
True.
Very, very true. Lost to the fairies.
Yep.
Lost to the fairies. Like, it's so funny because Sylvia will literally have moments where she just goes completely quiet and she just stares. And it used to be, we'd all go, oh, babe, what's going on? Or mummy. And now me and the kids will look at her and go, oh, it's fine. She's gone. And we just leave her. We just leave her. We
call it buffering in our family.
Just loading.
Because like my mum, the amount of times my mum used to ask me something when my dad was when we were younger, and she'd go, "Tim, what do you think of this?" And he'd just like,
just sit there.
And then he'd answer it like 5 seconds later, and we'd all be like, "Oh, he is there."
I think this is why my startle response is so off the charts. Is because I'm in my own little world, and I'm not aware, and so yeah, very true,
so much,
very true.
Right, number 20.
20.
I make an effort to maintain my reputation with other people. This has been one of the most difficult things I've had to navigate, because I have worked in a world where the rule is never make a mistake. That's how you get far. Never make a mistake. And if you do make a mistake, make it look like you didn't do it. That is genuinely how a lot of people operate in media and with things like that. And the amount of times I have pandered and fawned over people because I have gone, if I don't do what they tell me, I ain't going to get any more work. It's stressful. It's really stressful, especially when you are in your own world and you sometimes worry about what you say to people, and you're an oversharer when you're working in an environment where reputation is very, very important, and it's a lot of not what you know, it's who you know. It is a minefield, especially for ND people in the workplace. Absolute minefield. I really struggle with this.
I just don't like people thinking the wrong things about me, and I genuinely have a fear of like, oh, people think that he's really aggressive. People think that he's a bully. People think that he's traumatizing others, and it's like I don't know why people think that. There's so many people, but then I guess you can't help what others think about you. And I've learned that from Ashley, that I can't help that. And so I just got to be me and go, well, okay, so the people that are in my life that understand that I'm not that, those are the people that I have time for. So I have time for you. I have time for Ashley. I have time for my friends and family. And if other people don't see past the trauma that I present from the outside, that hard shell that I sometimes have, if they don't see that as the PTSD, they don't see that as the trauma representing rather than the genuine me, if they can't see that, then I don't hate them for that. I just feel sorry because they could have got to know like a really lovely person in their life, but unfortunately they couldn't see that. And so I don't feel bad. For me, I feel bad for them, and that's how I look at it now. So I'm not out to try and impress anyone. I just want to make Sylvia happy. That's genuinely every morning I wake up and I go, well, as long as I made Sylvia happy, that's all I really care about. And everyone else, it's just like, that's just a bonus.
Amazing.
Ashley, you answer 21 and we'll just sit here witnessing you.
I sometimes use outrageous or shocking behavior to get out of doing something.
I definitely feel like that's definitely you.
No, I can't say that is true for me.
No, neither do I.
Yeah.
I've actually put mostly true. Because I just am, my whole thing is outrageous and shocking behavior.
Yeah, I guess.
And I don't know if I use it to get out of doing things, but I've definitely probably got out of doing a lot of things with that outrageous and shocking behavior. That's kind of just I actually think that my outrageous and shocking behaviour has got me out of things that I actually wanted to do. Like there'll be, I really wanted to do that, but people were like, yeah, you don't want him doing that thing because that man crazy. So it's actually probably cost me things that I wanted to do, which is basically the same thing, but it's not the result I wanted. 22. I have periods when I have extremely emotional responses, crying, giggling, becoming furious, to what others would think are small events. Come on, people. That's just being autistic.
Yeah.
That is, we sensationalize, catastrophize, and mountain out of molehill everything. That is just very true.
Yeah.
This is going to be an interesting one. Number 23. I ensure any social interaction is on my terms.
Just so true.
Because I used to really struggle with this. And recently I've really shrunk my social circle to people that just bring me a lot of positivity. I don't feel uncomfortable, or it's like when I realized how many people in my life don't seem happy to see me when I've not seen them for a long time. It's like, maybe it's just surface level. And now I feel like years ago I would put not true because I was just happy to be socially interacting with people. But now I would say very true because I have control entirely over my social circle.
Oh,
and
so good.
They're all separate. I don't really have a circle. I have individual friends that bring different things to my life, and I get things out of it. Like I have hobbies that I share with specific friends and stuff, but I never have them in the same room because that is where my anxiety kicks in, because I feel like I have to be every version that these people know all at once. And there are some people that I really enjoy talking to work about. There are some people I literally just play golf with and talk about music and TV. And it doesn't get deeper than that. Like Karis will be like, oh, how's so-and-so? But like, I don't know. And you've just played golf with him for 6 hours. I went, yeah, we were playing golf.
That is 90% of my friendships. Literally every time I hang out with Pickle, we'll hang out and Sylvia's there. Pickle and I are just going on about like South Park or like Rick and Morty, and or photography. We're just talking about the things that we have special interest. And Sylvia's like, "Oh, how is your son, Pickle?" And Pickle looks at her like, "Oh yeah,
yes, my son.
Yes, my son and
my child."
Sylvia is. I think it's because she works in the public sector. Because she's a dental nurse, she works with people, so she knows how to ask these questions. But when Pickle and I get together, it's like we're like, "How are you? Yeah, great. How are you? Great. Oh, did you see that picture? Oh, did you see that thing? Oh, did you watch that thing?" And it's kind of like that's what my friends are there for. Like if I want to talk about really deep personal issues, that's why we do the podcast. Ashley, what about you?
Well, I would say up until now I have very, very healthy boundaries, and much like Simon, my circle is very, very small, so I can be completely myself. And I think this is interesting because with again, this is a little bit of a difference, I think, to a lot of male friendships are fit the description that both of you have said. Whereas I think with my female friends, we do go really, really deep into the emotional conversations and things like that. But it's one of those things where like I can't think of anything worse. And it's not very good being a small business owner. A lot of people are like, oh, you should go to this networking event and all this. I'm like, oh my God, because then I'm just going to have to put on, a persona. I'm going to have to mask. And it's so exhausting. And, it's just, every once in a while I do have to do it, and it's fine. But also I am the kind of person where I am such a science nerd and a psychology nerd. I can't shut up about it. And not everybody wants to hear about that. So, I make sure that I'm hanging out with people that allow me to, flex that nerd muscle within, and that it doesn't bother them. And it's, it's not for everyone. So yeah, I say I'm putting mostly true.
Cool. Right. 24.
Is this me?
Probably.
Yeah, probably. We'll go with that. We've lost the rhythm.
I
we'll
prefer
go with
to
it.
interact with others in an adopted role or communicate through props or objects. I love this. I'm just thinking of communicating with props. Well, funnily enough,
I'm thinking like Muppets.
I for a long time when I was when I used to do radio presenting, I could not talk when the microphone was off. I couldn't talk without a pen in my hand. It was just like it was my anchor to safety. And I can remember several times knowing that I would have to, speak in a few seconds and not being able to find a pen and freaking out. It's like, I don't know how to talk without this pen. I don't think this is exactly what this question is asking, or I don't know.
It's funny you say that, Ashley. I have seen many people, many radio presenters use pens as a conduit.
It's weird.
It focuses people in a weird, unusual way, and especially when like they're throwing to guests and they use it as like a point.
Yeah.
It's a very good way of conducting a conversation, having a pen in your hand. Very much so.
So I don't know what I would prefer to interact with others in an adopted role. So that sounds to me like masking. An adopted role doesn't sound like it's completely 100% authentic. Is that how you guys are reading this?
No, I see it as like the sort of people that would literally talk to you while using a puppet, and I'll be like, "This is your thing. That's fine." And the thing is, for a lot of autistic people, because they can't communicate, they would use something else to communicate through. You could even say that people might use like a live chat or an avatar, because I know that a lot of people struggle with socializing, and there's a beautiful documentary on Netflix how like a whole bunch of social outcasts, as they saw themselves to be social outcasts, all got together on World of Warcraft and became like this team, and all these people got together in real life and online, but they would never have got together in real life if they hadn't used their avatars in order to become part of this group. And it's a beautiful documentary, and it really does highlight for a lot of us is that we will use video games and video game chat and things like this to make friends, to communicate with others, and that should be more accepted, I feel.
I totally agree. Like VTubers, something I've literally just been introduced to in the past couple of weeks, and I found this particular person I found him through music, and he is who I believe him to be ND from what I've read about him, but he will have an avatar on the side of the screen that's almost like an anime character, and he will speak in a microphone and the mouth will move, and he has a very distinct voice. It's very, very deep, and I think this may be because he's had an illness or a larynx issue, and he may have like a facial disfigurement, as a lot of people that have had surgery around their throat and jaw have. And he specifically won't go to conventions because he's like, people have an expectation of what I'm going to look like. They hear my voice and they think, oh, 6'4", good looking guy, and I'm really going to disappoint them. So I'm not going to go. And that made me feel quite sad, but it also made me feel really positive in that people can now, through technology, have avenues of being able to communicate and feel safe in a space and represented in a space without physically being there. I think that is wonderful.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that there's a lot of questions within this that make it sound like this is a bad thing, but they're not. Like some of these behaviors, we look at it and go, "Oh, this is a problem," but I look at it and go, "Well, actually, this is a great thing."
If it works for you, that's great.
Like if it works.
Yeah.
Because this isn't me. I mean, I have no problem talking to people all day long. I think we've all figured that one out. I don't need any props or objects to do that, but other people do, and I think that there's absolutely nothing wrong with that whatsoever. I think it's just a different way of communicating, and I think people need to realize that. 25, almost there.
Nearly
I seek to quibble, and change rules set by others. my entire life.
Yeah.
Just
Definitely.
summed up. I disagree with
Very
you. I need to change
true.
everything about everything ever. See, I think electric shock therapy should be used on people who put poo bags on trees. Just saying. Guess what I saw yesterday?
It's intense, but we'll try it.
Oh,
Okay.
set fire to their hair.
Right, okay. And we'll end on a nice rounded one for everybody listening, wherever you are. 26. I can be passive and difficult to engage. Oh dear.
I don't know if I'm difficult to engage because I'm passive. I'm more difficult to engage because I don't shut up and people can't get a word in edgeways.
Yeah.
I'll just put not true. I'm not a passive person in the slightest. I have a feeling that, Ashley, you might be.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at this as passive, as in, that I'm not sort of like, that I'm sitting back and I don't want to talk about whatever's going on. Is that right?
This is where these questionnaires fail us because we need literary description underneath. I can be passive and difficult and then give a good description of what they mean passive to be in this setting.
Yeah.
Because I would spend more time thinking about the wording of the question and going, but is it literal? Is it not literal? For you see, I have a system. And then you just kind of go in a loop.
I think that it means that, you're an introvert who isn't particularly, well, like the opposite to me.
I suppose I can be passive in terms of going along with what the majority of people are wanting to do in a given moment. If it's not going to compromise my values or integrity or anything like that, I tend to find it's easy. But I love engaging with people. So whilst I'm an introvert, if I've got the right, I'm just picking this question apart again. So it's kind of difficult to know how to answer that. I'll just go somewhat true. That's a good sort of middle of the road.
Okay, well, I've hit a fabulous 55, which is 10 points over the threshold.
Oh, let's see. I believe we're talking about, not true. There we go. I had a missing one. Right. My score is 35.
See, that happened to Sylvia.
And what did you get?
55.
Mine's 40.
Oh my God, I'm so freaking demand avoidant. I don't think anyone is surprised. Listeners, family, friends, strangers who have never met me in their lives who are listening to this now, who only know me through this one particular episode, they're like, yeah, he's definitely the biggest problem to himself.
Like Captain EDA over here. Bless you.
Well, where is the breakdown of what your score means? I'm just trying to find that.
It doesn't. It just says if you're over 45, you qualify
right.
for
Okay,
a
so I
PDA
don't qualify then.
Which is interesting because I think we may have done a while ago.
I think that you probably would have at some point, but I also think that this question, as many of these questions, are predominantly focused on men. And this is the problem with females and neurodivergence, is that so many of these questionnaires are focused on men because they're mostly written by men. I want to see one that's written by women about women. That's what I want to see, because Sylvia had the same thing, and I think Sylvia's super demand avoidant. Like from just knowing her better than anyone else in the world, and she's not as demand avoidant as I am. I don't think anyone else is. I don't think there's a person alive that's as demand avoidant as I am. But she is super demand avoidant. So I think the threshold should be different for men because there are different expectations on men than there are on women. That's how I feel about this whole thing. I would like to see one that's
I agree. I was expecting to see more questions in relation to dealing with authority, because that is where I very much get very. I like to dig my heels in, and I mean it was talked about a bit, but I was expecting to see more of that. So yeah, it would be interesting to see if there is a more female focused EDA questionnaire. Who knows?
It could just be that you have more control over yourself than I do, which is why you're the therapist.
Well, yeah. Do you know what? I think my score would have been very different 10 years ago.
Me too.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. That's why I'm not a therapist, because people will be like, how can you help me? I'll be like, dude, I can't even help myself. I ain't trying to help you.
Yeah.
So, Scotty, you are below the threshold. How do you feel about that? What's going through your mind?
I'll be honest, I'm surprised because I do struggle with demand avoidance, but again, as we've just acknowledged, not as much as I used to. I used to really struggle with it, and there are things in that questionnaire that have surprised me. Like we've discussed in the episode, I was like, I wasn't expecting that to be involved with demand avoidance, and I still feel like I don't really have a great understanding of demand avoidance. I mean, it's frustrating. I went to my GP recently and talked about it, and she kind of just blinked at me. I was like, oh, right, okay, you don't know either, which is rather frustrating. But I knew your score would be much higher than mine. I did know that. That hasn't been a surprise to me.
Aliens that have never visited this planet knew my score.
No, don't worry, dude. They'll come and get you. Don't worry. That's the hope. I really hope one day that when the mothership comes down, it's going to open and some dude's going to come out with like a stimming cube and he's like, "We're here for the autistics." I'm like, yes.
Oh, just take me. I'll be like, I knew this was wrong. I knew I didn't fit in down here. Take me to the world of Lego because I've been living in a Duplo world for far too long. I need my Lego world. Take me now. Because I was literally watching another documentary, another documentary is about the Manhattan abduction. And it's just nonsense, right? It's just, I got abducted. No, you didn't. You're making it up. You lunatic. Right. But at the end of the day, I was watching it and going, I wish they would come down, because this whole thing was apparently they're going to organize this whole thing and they're going to come down and they're going to take us. And I was like, this was 40 years ago, by the way. So if it was going to happen, I think it would have happened by now. But I was like, oh, take me, please. I wish this was true. It's like, I don't believe in an afterlife, but I hope it's true. I wish it was true. Like, there's a lot. I wish ghosts were true. That would be fun, but they're not.
I'd love to come back as a ghost, flicking people's light switches, messing with the curtains. Oh, yeah, why not?
God, that'd be so much fun. I'd just be strapped. I'd be Casper. But the attempting to be friendly while not being friendly ghost.
That's funny.
I think I was about to
say I'm feeling a little bit cooked, and looking at the time, I'm sure people that are listening to this might be as well, because that was the questionnaire's interesting, guys, and we'll link it in the description below so that anybody that wants to take part with us can do. And I'm interested to hear people's scores. Are you surprised? Did you get what you expected? Do let us know in the comments below.
So, yeah, thank you for joining in. And I think what we need to do is a follow-up, because we didn't talk enough. We need to do a follow-up next time about what all this means and how we can actually help ourselves. And I think that's the next episode with Ashley is how do we help? How can we help ourselves?
Yes, practical tips, real useful, practical, real-time tips that we can use to help ourselves. Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely down for that.
Wonderful.
Day.
Well, I'm definitely excited about having you back again, Ashley. I hope we can make it more of a regular thing. I'm sure people have loved listening to this. I know that I have. And if you have, give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a follow, keep in touch with us. And if you haven't listened to any episodes before, welcome. And if you have listened to episodes before, welcome back. Thank you for having us. And I've run out of things to say because I've run out of spoons. So bye, everybody.
Yeah, bye. And everyone should have Ashley as a therapist. Bye.
Oh, thank you.